Peace, peace, power, soul, and activation. This is the Next Nuclear Radio Show. I am your host, Zirayus Razus Nuclear, leader of U.N.O.N.C. Again, amongst other leaders here in U.N.O.N.C. Futurtarians. Moving forward. Again, we are live back on PODBEAN, moving forward, extending the mind, bodies, and souls of our activated brothers and sisters all across this planet, close and far. So with that being said, we're going to keep extending and keep pushing activation and keep pushing ones walking with ones, walking with ones, walking with ones, because that is ultimately how the planet is going to keep extending and keep on moving forward and rolling on. Because again, we can't get caught up. We can't be stagnant mentally, physically, and soulfully. We have to keep on gradually picking up the pace. So the more that we keep on doing these lives, the more that we keep on, again, activating and inspiring other ones across this planet, the more that the planet is going to keep on speeding up gradually into a higher or into a more rapid and more gradual pace, as far as when it's dealing with like the evolution of the people on the planet. And as far as us, as this, like we said ourselves before, we are the Solar Activated Council. Not the Galactic Council, but the Solar Activated Council, because again, denoting that we are, or saying that we are a part of the Galactic Council would say that again, we're dealing with information, and a lot of people who are calling themselves or equating themselves to being a part of the Galactic Council don't omni-stand and mega-stand, but the future ultimately lies, again, in that council, but ultimately, actually assimilating, actually building that council in the physical, not just on Facebook groups and on social media sites. No, we're actually going to build. We are actually building and extending mind, body, and soul by way of council, actual council, counseling, and again, voting and moving things forward as a collective. So with that being said, again, we are the Next Nuclear Radio Show, bringing forth next nuclear conversations and ideas to move the planet forward, to move the golden people forward, and to move, anybody who can hear, or again, who has that logical mind frame to evolve and extend forward. So again, this intel will attract and pull in on all walks of life because of the realness and the power from the fourth dimension and beyond, these upper dimensions that we are actively channeling, actively tapping into. So, yes, 1 second. So yes, moving forward and extending our mind, bodies, and souls, by way of today's topic. We are live. Today's, date is Saturday, November 20th. Again, Saturday, 11/2021. So again, moving forward, as activated minds, bodies, and souls. Welcome back, Futurtarians. Welcome back, activated men and women, activated mind, bodies, and souls, who have in this time actually, heard the call. You're actually seeing the shifts. You are noticing and seeing these shifts, happening all over the planet. Because again, if you are noticing these shifts and these evolutionary jumps and advances on the planet, then that means that you are, again, either potentially a one, or potentially somebody that is necessary in the future, somebody that's necessary, somebody that is actually beneficial or purposeful in the future. So again, us being able to notice these shifts, notice these so-called, they want to say revolutionary changes, but it's actually evolutionary, because we're evolving. Everything is expanding and growing in growing and going into a whole different dimension, as far as how we are extending in this third dimension. We are approaching or moving and navigating into extended three-dimensional space. So furthermore, we're going to keep pushing, again, the collectivity. And again, like we said before, ones walking with ones, because again, in this time, in this day, that is the only thing going to move the planet forward. The ones walking with ones as activated golden beings, and not just golden beings, but activated golden beings. Are you activated? Because we are activated, moving forward as the Solar Activated Council, extending the evolutionary frequencies from the 13th dimension pulling from the 14th dimension. And again, all that being extracted and pulled down by us in the third dimension. And again, we've been able to channel in Portal 101 or our intelligence of self by portaling 101 by, again, linking up or our souls coming from the future and again, activating these vessels, in the past, aka the 3D world. So again, I'm going to share this all over, Facebook, YouTube, because again, we're pushing this, activation. We're pushing activation and we're opening up the mind, bodies, and souls to everybody on the planet. Because again, this is going on social media. So again, a lot of people down the line are going to see these videos, these lives we've done in the future, eventually. So again, we are coming to you all as the future. We are the future. People always, growing up, I remember being in school and, besides school, knowing that we know school has 2 zeros in it, dealing with the loop process. But when I was in school, they always told us, because again, they would give you the truth and the lie, which is like that whole, duality, the dual energy, dealing with the positive and negative. So they'll tell you truths and lies, but they told truths by saying that for us, we are the future. They knew that again, they said that we are the future, but pretty much, there's the future after this future and the future after this future that's going to keep pushing things forward. So it's ultimately, again, we have to just accept the evolution. We have to keep moving on the one frequency and being on one accord to foster in a greater future, a more impactful future that will aid in growth into more mental and soulful extension. Mental and soulful extension, dimensional extension by way of our continuous alignments, our continuous discipline, and again, what we're doing coming together and channeling, and us channeling as activated ones. So moving forward, again, we're going to keep extending the mind, bodies, and souls of, again, our people on the planet. So with that being said, again, we are Futurtarians. We are the Activated Council, the Solar Activated Council moving the planet forward. So, yes, moving forward with today's topic. Today's topic is putting the past and present on pause. 11111. Again, putting the past and present on pause. So yes, we are putting as the activated solar count or as the solar activated council, we are putting the past and present three-dimensional world on pause because again, we're bringing forth Nextel. We're bringing forth this next nuclear conversation and ideas to extend the planet forward. So by way of that is making everything that people are still in the old world, as we would say, that's what you consider the past and the present. That's considered the old world because again, a lot of these people are still going back and forth by way of the mental loop process, dealing with information. So because we're bringing forth next intelligence, when they hear this next intelligence, they are ultimately put on pause or their lives are altered in a way that they couldn't imagine, honestly, because when their beliefs, dealing with the belief systems, when their beliefs are challenged or would you say questioned, then again, they can't go beyond their belief systems and they can't go beyond the humanist system, the humanitarian systems. So once that is what you say rivaled or challenged, then again, they're stuck at that wall of confusion, hurt, being let down because again, a lot of them just can't accept that things must go on. Things must extend and grow and take a next elevation as far as in, or growth, elevation, extension by way of, progress, forward movement into a different space mentally, soulfully, and in this world physically, because, that's why we're all 3D right now because of those three. So moving forward, dealing with, this next intelligence, the next energies coming from beyond the sun, from the sun, and from these other stargates and portals, it's only going to, foster in more advanced evolution as far as, again, the more that we are concentrating and focusing on that, the purpose of us coming together, and that is to extend the planet forward, and that is to, again, bring forth the activation, bring forth the one frequency, bring forth, again, because we have to teach these people. Everything is going not in reverse. Well, actually, it's going in reverse pretty much from how I perceived it pretty much. Because again, we have to pretty much teach the past world on how to counsel for them to move forward. So as far as us moving forward, we've understood that because we've done it before. Because we're not from the past, we're from the future. So we understand, or we understand and understand the practicality of collectivism as being a part of a collective council, or understanding the purpose of being a part of a collective. Because at this point, there is no there isn't anything else but coming together and actually, again, putting aside our differences and actually moving things forward. That's why, again, when these talks that we have on this show here, when these conversations come forth to the forefront, a lot of people are, again, put on pause. They are put on pause because, again, they can't, their minds can't venture outside of information. Again, their minds have been so encapsulated or enclosed with information that anything that goes beyond the realm of information, Google, Siri, Alexa, all of that, it scares them. They call it spookism. They say it's not real if it can't be backed up by facts. And we all know facts are what? Facts are, again, validated. Facts are ultimately validated, and they're ultimately put inside those systems such as Siri, Google, Alexa, and all these other search engines and whatnot. So with that being said, where where does where do you begin to think and extend your mind, body, and soul outside of these artificial concepts? And that's why, again, people are going to be constantly looped in by way of that metaverse, all these other different things coming in the future to keep your mind looped in for those people who are still worldly people and who can extend outside the world. So again, that's why we have to keep moving. We have to keep, again, focusing our mind, body, and souls on the bigger picture, focusing our minds, and again, aligning our souls with the bigger picture. And that is, again, bringing forth something next. Again, moving things forward. So there is no periods of being stagnant. So there is no periods of, again, oh, I'm bored. Because again, I caught myself saying that I was bored because, again, I realized I didn't acknowledge back then when I was saying I was bored, but that means stagnant. Being bored means that I was stagnant at one point, and then I just had to, which is a self-activate, be able to self-activate myself, which I did, and moving forward, again, self-activation is the key to moving forward and bringing forth the future, which is putting the past and present on pause. Putting the past and present on pause. 1111. Again, ones, walking for ones, moving forward into the upper dimensions, moving linear and what you say vertically or horizontally and vertically, upper and outer dimensionally, because again, that's where, again, that forward movement. Forward is upper, is upper and outer, and is forward or horizontally pretty much. So furthermore, we call ourselves Futurtarians, U.N.O.N.C, moving forward, because again, we are of the future. We're all about uniting. That's why it's U.N.O.N.C and Futurtarians, because we are united, mind, body, and soul, on that one frequency, on that one accord, because that ultimately is the only way things are going to move forward. And that's the only way that balance will come forth. People want to say that the revolution won't be televised on TV, but again, they misconstrue revolution with evolution or evolvement or evolution. We are all evolving, not revolving. So again, we're going to keep extending our mind, bodies, and souls, upper and outer dimensionally. Today I have again with me brother AF1. Whenever you want to chime in and tap in, again, we're here channeling and extending our mind, bodies, and souls, again, as Futurtarians, U.N.O.N.C, again, and we call this show the Next Nuclear Radio Show, moving forward, bringing forth next nuclear ideas, again, as a nuclear collective council, that family, that nuclear family that everyone talks about. Hey, what's your nuclear family? But this is the nuclear future that we do bring forth by way of the Next Nuclear Radio Show. So with that being said, again, we are extending and activating and growing by way of these extending light rays, these again, the energy that's coming by way of our future selves, pushing down what intel that they're constantly pulling in from the upper and outer dimensions, beyond where they're at. So again, all this this chain reaction of exchange, of power exchange of energy and intelligence coming from the top down to the bottom, down to where we're at, and we're moving forward, or we're able to extend and grow forward by that top from the top down, bottom exchange of soul energy. And with that being said, again, this next to clear, what you say, conversation, and this next to clear focus that we have by way of, again, our future purposes, our future souls, again, constantly communicating with us, again, by visions, by way, and this state and form, that communication is by intelligence, by way of, again, just certain things that have taken place in our life. We've seen that, again, the more that we keep aligning ourselves with our future purpose, that again, we will step out of this lower dimensional mindset, lower dimensional ways of, but like I said, living, in which we did. We evolved past that primitive mindset of being a so-called nigga, all of that shit that, again, people want to throw on you because, again, people just are ignorant. And that's why, again, we've put to bed or put to rest that ignorant mindset, as far as just by tapping into the intelligence, because, again, intel is not going to be beat by information, because information is limited versus intelligence, which is always limitless, which will always make us limitless the more that we keep tapping into it and keep on extending our mind frames, or, as I was saying before, revamp our mind frames, because the rays are revamping our minds or shifting our minds into a higher state of thinking, and basically processing those light rays and being able to, again, magnetically pull those rays down here. Again, shout out brother AF1 and his talk about, again, the sun being turned into the SON, because they understood that the SUN talking about the whole magnetism that was associated with the sun, and us being able to pull from the sun as well. So I'm moving forward into the extended activated future. Again, moving forward, we just have to keep, again, just realizing that, again, the more that we come together, and the more that we keep extending, the collectivism, by way of showing people how this is going to work, because that's the only way. People are only going to understand and understand over time by way of show and tell. So we have to keep showing intel, or show intel by way of, again, demonstrating and being the voices of reason. That's the only way. That's the only way, by us being able to demonstrate and, again, be the voices of reasons from these upper dimensional states and places in upper dimensions beyond this dimension right now. Again, that's the only way things are going to move forward. That influence, that future influence, having our minds only on the future. We've shifted the planet within the last we've shifted the whole planet, for, as long as we can actually pinpoint that we were doing that. But we've understood, or we understand and understand that right now, that moving the planet forward is only happening by way of a few beings on this planet. People think that, these elites have the power to move things forward on the planet. Yes, they do have the power to move things in circles, but to actually move things forward, again, that loop process is really, really hard on our people, because, again, it's been ingrained in their DNA, and that's why their DNA can't evolve into DEA. That's why, again, their DNA cannot evolve into DEA, which is why, again, DEA happens to be the oxyriboetheric acid. So ultimately, or etheric alkali. So whatever that, So with that being said, again, feel free to chime in, brother AF1. So furthermore, with this next nuclear extension and ideas, moving forward. Go ahead, brother AF1.
I'm gonna say peace, power, and soul, everybody out there. Yeah, going back to the topic, putting the past and present on pause. The reason why the present is on pause is because you're in the past. That's why your present is on pause. Now, your present might be moving as far as you going to work, you running your business, you doing something like that in the present. But as far as your mind goes, and as far as moving stuff forward for the planet, their mind is still on pause. Everything is on pause. They're stagnant. They don't know and understand that there's something always being down through the atmosphere. And if you want to live that life, that's fine, because when you're dealing with the ones, the true ones, that we're not looking for people that think like that on that mind frame, because there's always something that's going to be next for the future. Now, that term that we say, we say this term, dealing with the Futurtarians, we say it all the time. You know, if you ain't working on not working, then why are you working? If you're working on not working, then why are you working? Right? You working to survive. That's fine. If you want to be a regular and be stagnant and just do your thing, that's fine. But when you're dealing, that's why we always hit the source. We always go to the source when you're dealing with teachers on the internet. That's why we always go back to them, because they're a lot of them are keeping the momentum and the shifting of the planet on pause, because they don't even really know that. The reason why we know that is because they're putting the past and the present in the forefront. How you going to put the past and the present on the forefront and you talking about moving the planet forward and moving your children forward? That's contradicting yourself. If you're not talking about the future, and that's it. Harriet Tubman, civil rights movement, all that old stuff, yeah, that played out. Dealing with the teachers and the leaders from the past, they did what they had to do in that day and time, because they already knew what they was doing was something for the future. They didn't know at that time. They didn't know at that time they knew the 11th was coming back. They didn't know. But now that we back, I mean, there is nothing else. When you look at everything on the internet, go through the cyberverse and really see. When you're going through Meta, I'm not even calling it Facebook no more. I'm done calling it Facebook, so I like Meta. When you calling it Meta, when you're going through Meta, you're going through Instagram, and you really see, if you want to be entertained and you're bored and being entertained, then yeah, I mean, if you want to go there and be entertained, but if you're not activated, it's not going to work for you, because it's going to always grasp your soul. It's going to always grasp your soul and drain you. Going looking at these funny skits, looking at these people take eggs and put them on matches and light them, and all this stuff that means nothing for the future. It means something for their bank account. It means something for their bank account, whatever floats your boat. If that's how you want to get money, that's fine. But that's why we always go back to the teachers and everybody that's out here teaching, because the ones that's teaching and they recognize that and they accept that, it's not going to go good for the future. Well, for them, because everything's being played out. Like I tell everybody, this already happened. All this stuff already happened. That's when you're dealing with deja vu. People be like, oh, I just had deja vu. I just had deja vu. Because when you're dealing with the past and the present, going back to these pastors, we have broke this down multiple times on how the pastor means past or what? Present. So when you're dealing with these Greco-Roman priests, and they were because, like I always say, they got the Webster dictionary, and then they got the stealth code of these words out here. Some of the words are just put in the forefront, like artificial intelligence. That word just was put on the forefront. But then when you're dealing with, because artificial intelligence, the reason why that word was put on the forefront, because that word is not as old as the word pastor, or it's not as old as the word Messiah. It's not that old. So when you're dealing with people that didn't have technology, didn't have the internet, all they did was sit around and receive and think. That's all they did. So then when you're dealing with these words, the stealth definition of these words is always going to get broke down now, because we back. That's why it's getting broke down. And going back to the topic, when you had said these people, they start doing certain things because they're bored. You know why they're bored? Go back to the game Monopoly. Go back to the game Monopoly. And especially, I don't even care what age you are. If you live in America, at one point in your life, about 90% of the people that live in America play Monopoly. And what do you play it on? You play it on a board. But who's manipulating this? Who's manipulating the city and the citizens? See, when you get bored, you get manipulated. You get triggered and you get moved. Somebody's going to have to move you because you're bored. Somebody's going to have to move. When you roll them dice, you hit 3 and you have to go to Park Place or whatever it is, because you're being manipulated, because you're on a board, because you're bored. You're on the board because you're bored. And now people in the society have to manipulate you just to get your momentum going, just to get you out your house, just to get you off the game, just to get you off the internet. People in society have to manipulate you just to do that, right? Pay your bills. Be a part of the system where the system is not put in place in here for intel. The system's not put in place in here for intel. It's put in place for regular people. Going back to the Matrix, going back dealing with the cyberverse, going through the cyberverse, going through these copper, metal, gold wires, going through the Wi-Fi, going through satellites, going through. If you don't mean nothing, going through the artificial intelligence, then the artificial intelligence will always be your God, because you don't mean nothing. You don't mean nothing for the future. You can take care of your family. You can take care of your family. You can go to work, this and that. And I always stress teachers and I always stress people that's on the internet that's trying to teach, because if that's your mind frame, you don't even need to be teaching, because what are you teaching? You're teaching stuff from the past, and you're teaching stuff from the past. And that's why I put your present on pause, because the present's always going to be here. Now, when you go back to a couple of videos I did about past, present, and future. Now, when you go back to those videos, you can understand and overstand, megastand, and see where's the future coming from. Because, like I said before, this has already had played out. Everything had played out already. This is a rerun. You know how you go on TV and you be like, man, I've seen this already, this and that. It's a rerun. That's why the scanning system is so lethal, because we already been through this. All this stuff that's dealing with this three-dimensional realm on this planet, we already been through it. Some people can tap into their Akashic records, and some people can't. You know, and dealing with because it was full moons. A lot of full moons happened this week. It's still Saturday, so a lot of full moons happened this week, right? And a lot of people tapped into that low energy frequency, and they was trying to tap into that low frequent energy, and they were trying to see, basically based on meditation. So the meditation factor on that was, okay, what are you meditating for? What are you trying? What are you trying to conjure up dealing with meditation? Are you doing it for your own personal gain? If you got mental illness, or if you're feeling depressed, if you got anxiety, I mean, what are you meditating for? Really, are you meditating for the future? Or are you just meditating because you have personal things in your life that you don't understand and you can't megastand? So that's dealing with the present. But if you're in the past, every time you go back to the past, it will pause your present situation at the present moment.
Yep. And that's why also a great breakup for the AF1. And they like we always, like I've always said, you know, we always omni-stand, or we all stand for moving into the future or being able to extend to the future. That's why, again, you know, when people recognize that they're bored, that's like a sign from the future telling you, hey, you know, keep moving, or ultimately, again, to shift or evolve, or, you know, take a whole different route. But, you know, keep moving though. Don't don't keep standing still, or, you know, keep what you say, walloping in that boredom. That's why, you know, boredom is supposed to be, again, once you recognize that a period of, let's say, being put on pause, then you're supposed to basically move forward, or find something that's next to, you know, push you forward into the future even further, or something that's going to motivate you or activate you. That's why I said self-activation, because once Google, Siri, and Alexa is gone, what the hell are you going to have? You're going to have them dusty ass books still. You're going to have them, like I said, them books. And you're going to still keep trying to pass on to people talking about, yeah, read these books. No, you're going to have to rely on your own intelligence, but you're going to have to, you know, keep actively receiving to, you know, keep moving on a constantly evolving planet. So there won't be any books to help you, you know, tackle on what's to come in the future. You won't have any Google, Siri, Alexas to help you tackle on what's to come in the future. That's why, again, you know, that's why we put a pause on the internet. We put a pause on the planet right now, because, again, there isn't anything next, and people know this. They're going to keep on trying to search and search, and but only find more and more information that'll keep them looping back and forth. It'll keep them looping back and forth because, again, information is not going to extend. It will only keep you stagnant and ultimately bored and continuously being bored after being bored because, again, you're only putting your mind into the mind frames or the mindsets of people, again, from those books who aren't here anymore. So again, you're only basically receiving mental transmission or those transmissions from, again, a long time ago that don't benefit or that don't that can't extend you into the future because, again, it's limited. They gave you that book to cap your mind off or to stop you from going past, the actual said so-called author or whoever it is who actually wrote that book. But moving forward, again, we're moving forward into a whole different dimensional space because, again, there is no time to keep standing still and sitting on our hands and hoping for something to come and to grant us something next. Like people are still in that whole church mindset. That's why we said the cloaking of the church, because, again, cloaking of the church, you got these people who are still talking about, again, they still have the mind frame of as if they're in church still, and they can't grow and extend past that past mind frame or past ways of living and thinking, etc. That's why, again, the more that the future is coming into this present, the more that the present and past will be put on pause. Because, again, people have to either extend or be expendable. Extendable versus being expendable. So again, can you be extended or will you ultimately be expended? Like so-called these, entertainers, these celebrities, they're here for a moment, but then again, they're not extendable. Most of them are expendable. That's why you're going to keep seeing more and more of these, people of the past and present keep on focusing their mind, bodies, and souls on the next dead rapper. Or again, Brother F1 said himself, he called it. And guess what? 2 days later, something happened. But again, we're in the future because, again, this shit is so real. One's walking for ones because, again, there is no time to keep on pussyfooting around and second guessing your own thoughts. No, you either are in the future, you're either channeling and you've already accepted your role as a future being or not. We've done that. So yeah, go ahead, Brother F1.
Yep, going back to to all these sacrifices. Going back to these sacrifices that's been happening and they're going to keep happening is because one of the reasons why these sacrifices is going to happen is because people have to understand that this is not a game. This is not a joke. This is real. Like when they say we're dealing with the land of Israel. Like, why would they call it Israel? Because they want you to know that they're trying to tell you that it is real. Now, is it? That's up to you to figure out. See, you going back to these people, like when you're dealing with these celebrities, certain things in the courthouse, you're going through these rappers that get sacrificed or they just end up in the wrong place at the wrong times because they're messing with their own personal ego problem. Because when you're dealing with a whole planet, this is a whole planet, right? So when you get a lot of the downfall of the so-called African Americans, a lot of their downfalls when they get money is keeping it real. What is real? What is real? When you think about it on that aspect, what is real to you? Like, if real deals with, you've already been born in a body that's going to die. So what is real to you? Is it being seen? Is it going back to your old neighborhood? Going back to your old neighborhood where it's a whole bunch of degeneracy and whatever going on in there, dealing with the hood. And the hood got 2 zeros in it. What's that? That's meta. Dealing with the hood has 2 zeros in that. What's that? That's meta. Who came up with the term hood? Now let's go back to the 60s and 70s. Who do you think actually came up with the term hood? See, y'all ain't activated, so y'all just think that it just came from a brother that was walking around one day. Y'all think it came from a brother that was walking around one day back in the 60s and the 70s, and he was like, I'm just finna call this the hood. No, it didn't come from that. It was orchestrated. There's a big zero in orchestrated also. It was orchestrated. A lot of this stuff been orchestrated, and y'all can't see it. Y'all can't see it. You know why? Because you've been caught in the loop process. You've been caught in meta, dealing with the past, going backwards. Every time you start to every time, like we see it on the internet with these teachers, as soon as they start talking on a futurtarian level, here comes some old cat that's been teaching and got to come back on their platform and put them back in their place. Put them back to what? The past. Put them back to the present. It happens all the time. See, we activate. We be sitting over here cracking up because every time these large platforms do stuff like that, we catch it and we just be over here laughing because you can't get nothing past the futurtarians. And see, that's why it's so funny when you're dealing with being tapped into the past. And then I'm gonna go back to what you said when you said having their brain capped. Zerez, you just had said that, and I just received some intel on that, having their brain capped. That's why you got that term, no cap, or capping, or no cap, capping. Why? Where did that term come from? So you mean that one of these cats that's been in the hood all their life, all they know is being a parasite and feeding off of other people and rapping about stuff that he had heard, but then just really putting and rewording it. And he came out, you tell me somebody in the hood came out with the term cap, no cap? No, that's been orchestrated. The reason why AF1 says that is because when you're dealing with the teachers on the internet, what do all these teachers type in?
Cap.
They type in caps. So what do you do? You send out a slave Negro to go start pushing cap. No cap. That's no cap, man. Yeah, that's cap. That's no cap. Because all this stuff, man, they've been doing this for thousands of years, man. And now that we back from the future, everything is being put on the forefront and being exposed because that capping was all right, dealing with all the teachers on the internet. Majority of all the teachers that's on the internet, I say a good 80% to 75% of them, they type in capital letters. So in order for you to get subconscious, that's why when people see cap letters, they're subconsciously already tapped into the no cap. So that's why they're like, oh man, they on this, I'm gonna click on it. And then if they click on it and then and that teacher is not talking about something that resonates to them, they ain't going to mess with that teacher because it doesn't resonate to them. Now, if you're talking about spirituality, tarot cards, religion, meditation, I'm going to break down meditation too. Me and Zerez was talking about that. Meditation. Going back to Facebook, man. Shout out to Facebook for switching it to meta because y'all need that. Everything going to be put in y'all's face, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like that pause button on y'all's phone. It's going to get put in your face every time you pause your phone. The 11 is going to be there. This stuff already played out into the future. Right? So that's why when you putting the past and the present on the forefront. How you going to put the past and the present on the forefront when the forefront is dealing with the forehead? That's why they call your head a forehead, because you have to tap into the next dimension, which is the fourth dimension. Once you tap into the fourth dimension, once you get activated, then you can tap into all the other dimensions. How you going to tap into the fifth dimension and you ain't tapped into the fourth dimension? That is another dealing with these slave Negroes. That's another one. That's why everybody's pushing the fifth dimension, because the only reason why they push the fifth dimension, because that's a mental safe haven for not the fourth dimension. That's all that is, because you have to tap into the fourth first to tap into the other dimensions. So that's why a lot of the stuff that's getting pushed on the internet, it comes from a deity. It comes from people that's already in power in place. And they come out there and they try to keep y'all dumbed down so you don't turn into a one, dealing with the 808 kick drum. 808. You think the 808 kick drum just fell out the sky? What is the most popular kick drum in hip hop right now? It's the 808 kick drum. Dealing with the loop process, meta. And see, that's why when people deal with the past, it pause them in the present, and it distorts their future.
Yep, it's going to keep distorting their future because again, they have not been able to, what you say, put at rest, the past and what you say, present day thinking that doesn't, help them evolve into the future. So, furthermore, like I was saying, like I was tapping into other things, like also again, like dealing with like death and life and death, or as I would say, you would consider this like the death stage before we go into the whole life stage. After we move past the past and present, aka the third dimension, and being able to overwrite the third dimensional algorithm, we begin to move into life. Life is again further extension into the future. There's no more such things as passing on or death. Death will be a thing of the past. So that's why again, people who are still mad and sad about these people who are leaving the planet, these celebrities leaving the planet, they're so caught up, but because they're still caught up in the whole past and present mindset, or being, oh, that's it, or again, most of them are ignorant to the fact that again, energy can be created nor destroyed. So we're going to keep moving forward, or you'll keep being cycled back into the lower dimensions until you get your shit right. So that's why we're going to keep pushing forth the next clear ideas and conversations, and again focusing on the fourth format, or the fourth dimension, as far as again our mind, bodies, and souls, channeling upper and outer, again plugging first into the fourth dimension, and then again jumping off that into the upper dimensions. So yes, that's who we are. Again, Futurtarians, U.N.O.N.C, moving forward. And again, this is the only way for to get people's attention. This pause of the past and present was the only way to get attention, to get the attention of the right ones. And the right ones are noticing that again there is a stagnant, or at one point there was stagnant energy that was stopping us from being able to grow and go into again a higher mindset or higher mind frame. So we understood or megastood that being of the past and present wouldn't allow us to go into the future. So yeah, Brother F1 said in a couple videos prior to this one, or a couple lives prior to this one, where again when you're constantly trying to reinvent yourself with information, or trying to evolve yourself with information, then again that information is going to, which basically be in you subconsciously as you're trying to evolve. So we have to let go of the past and present. So again, you can't hold on to any of the belief systems anymore. Which we move forward into tapping into the Intel, again, Intel systems, or just strictly Intel, but dealing with like the future, again, the Intel systems, or dealing with the Intel, again, is such complex, and it denotes power. It shows power because again of the massive and the further extended galaxies that are beyond our own galaxy, that again deal with only one thing. Is, and guess what it is? It's power. There is no strength. It's all power, mental power, soul power, that is going to make itself present in the past and present, to pause that and to show the future, to show that the future is always coming, to also show that the future is ultimately what you say is going to keep on, what you say, extending the right ones who subscribe to the future, because people who subscribe to the past and present can only see in past and present. So people who subscribe, or who accept that there's always things coming next, and again they're going to always be positioned or aligned to grow evolutionary in the future. So yeah, go ahead, Brother F1.
Yeah, wait until next weekend. Wait until next weekend when Thanksgiving rolls around. Right, it happens all the time. I've been there even before I was activated. I got activated 2 years ago, going on maybe 3 now. So go back, wait until Thanksgiving come, and you know what I'm saying. You're gonna see all these teachers on the internet going to disappear. They're gonna poof like Houdini, because they preach it, and I'm not saying that they celebrate it or whatnot. I'm not saying that because I don't know their personal lives. But at the same time, it's like that's what you need to be pushing. You need to be pushing more during these holidays, dealing with holly. What is holly? Holly is the holly tree. Go back and do research on the holly tree. Dealing with Halloween, dealing with holy. What is holy? Dealing with halo. Halo, what is a halo? A halo is a circle over your head, the hamster wheel. I can keep going, but that's a whole nother video. But dealing with these holidays, man, and the last holiday, I think it was Halloween. I did a video on Halloween, and then I did a live that Friday Because, I think Halloween landed on a Sunday. I'm not sure. It was like Sunday or Saturday. I'm not sure. But Friday, I know I did a live, and the live was so dead. And because the only reason why I knew that the live was dead is because everybody was doing their Halloween stuff. They be so conscious and woke when you're dealing with the conscious community and the woke people. But then it's so funny, like they be like that all year, and then next thing you know, you see a picture of them with dressed up as a zombie or something. I'm sitting there like, okay, you was conscious all year, then you gonna go do that? That's fine. Whatever floats your boat. That's your life. But the whole point is, like, you can't get nothing past us. And see, that's the point that I'm making. Like, whatever you want to do with your own personal life, that's fine. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, walking organic cyborgs. So, and one reason why is because they're still stuck in the past. They're still stuck in the past. Whenever you bring up some old stuff, if you ain't bringing up no old stuff that's dealing with intel, then what's the purpose? If you really think about that, what's the purpose? Going to these colleges, right? Yeah, you get money, you get your degree, and you get your diploma. What's the word diploma mean? We already know what degree. Well, a lot of people, I don't know, but we know what degrees mean. We're dealing with the ladder. Which degree are you in? But dealing with the ladder. But diploma, what does diploma mean? See, nobody broke this down on the internet. Diploma means being deployed. Just like the military has to be deployed, where they go, they got to go do what they tell them to do. Dealing with diploma, then you get deployed to who? The corporations. You're being deployed to a corporation. So but see, all that stuff is dealing with the physical realm. Like I was telling Zareas, man, we had one teacher come over here still talking about the American land and American soil and dealing with the Aztecs, Mesoamerica and all that stuff. That means nothing, man. You're still talking about the crust of the earth. It goes way past the crust of the earth, dealing with land mass and all that stuff. Like, who cares about that? That means nothing. That's still stuck in the physical realm. We're dealing with soul power. Futuristic intel, shit that's being beamed down through the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? Futuristic souls coming 11. That's what it's really about. It doesn't matter about this crust and this planet dealing with this landmass. It matters to a simple fact. If you got ones coming around you, it matters on that aspect. But when you still stuck in the physical and you think money, if you think money and numbers is going to help you move forward into the future, it's not, because money and numbers don't deal with power. Because there's one person that could come from the future and alter and shift the way teachers think, the way society thinks, the way corporation thinks, the way social media thinks. All it takes is one.
Yep. All it takes is ones walking with ones. But that collective one frequency that we are all tapped into is the only thing driving, would you say, the planet forward. And again, that one frequency and that, again, us being a part of the collective, being on one accord is ultimately the reason why, again, in the future, there is a future, because we successfully managed to ascend mind, body, and soul outside of a third dimensional realm. And that's why we're able to receive this intelligence about, again, the future and what, the future things to come, are basically, in store for us, for the ones who are subscribed or ultimately, in alignment with the future. So again, we are done. We've been done talking about the past and present. Again, just this topic in general has become a bore, because again, we're constantly receiving next things to push us forward into the future. That's why, again, moving forward, again, I will say that these next topics that in the future are only going to, again, extend or expend the ones, again, either the 200 fallens will basically be, what you say, expended. And again, but 200 rising will extend, because again, we're rising with, future intelligence, and our souls are being hyperactively charged to, again, make that ascension, or vibrate high enough to, phase through that Stargate, aka those suns, those multiple portals and gateways that we'll be able to step through and basically portell or bring forth the, again, intelligence by portaling. Again, we're portaling one-on-one with our higher selves. Again, but we're ultimately portaling one-on-one, again, with other ones who will be able to hear this. But again, this message goes out to all of you all. by way of, again, the future council, the solar activated council that has formed in this time, in this very day, because again, that's the only thing that's going to move things forward is counseling. Again, that's why in school they would tell you to go to see your counselor, because the counselor was supposed to help you and guide you. That's why we're the guiding luminaries moving the planet forward, because we're these stars, we're the all stars, the rising stars moving forward that are only going to again and influence and inspire the ones who are on the ground or the ones looking up at the stars to basically do the same thing, shift and keep moving, keep going. That's why again we're always seeing different stars, or would you say different? Would you say? I mean, there are so many stars that we have yet to, or different suns that we've yet to tap into. But again, but it shows you how expansive the future is and what future things are to come for us. The more that we keep on tapping in, so we have to keep, first and foremost, keep focusing our minds on the future, that fourth format. And again, the more that we keep doing that, it's only going to erase the spiritual realm. And again, it's constantly overriding or causing a glitch in the 3D algorithm, the 3D matrix. So again, we are vegetarians moving forward with this next nuclear idea and conversations by way of the next nuclear radio show. Again, we're tapped in on ones walking with ones walking with ones. Shout out brother AF1, brother Cosmo. Again, moving forward, all of the vegetarians and future thinking beings on the planet, who will hear this or who hear this now, again, that know that they're one, who feel that they're one, but ultimately reach out to us, because again, we're only going to keep moving. Again, we're not waiting for nobody. We're not going to wait on anybody and be bored with you all. Because again, being bored means that you're stagnant and that you've been put on pause. So putting the past and present on pause by way of moving to the future. Putting the past and present on pause, because again, putting the past and present world on pause, because it has to happen that way, because again, everything
Right.
of the past and present has to be basically stopped. And the more that we keep on seeing our future purpose, the more that it's going to be put on pause, the past and present. So go ahead, brother F1.
Right, yeah. And then dealing with like you had broke you had broke down that the cloaking of church. And see that's a big factor right now, dealing with churches that are being cloaked. A lot of these churches are being cloaked because they already know that when you're dealing with the church system and you're dealing with ties, what's the word ties mean? Right? When you got two strings and you tie them together, what's that? You're connected. So that's why they call it ties, because you're paying ties because you're going to always be connected to that until you stop paying ties. Now, if they called it something else, it'd be different. But they say the only way you're going to be tied into the church is if you pay your ties. And that's the thing, dealing with these spirituality teachers, dealing with these people that run communities, dealing with these people that have organizations, paying dues. Like, what is a due? Dues. To do what? To make you do stuff. Because the leader of that organization ain't going to do nothing. That's why it's called dues, because it make all his followers do something, not them. See, that's why when you sit down at a council table, everything's put on the forefront. Who do you think's running these corporations, right? You might have one owner, but I guarantee you they got a council and they got a voting system. They be like, everybody who agrees says aye. What is aye? Aye is the one.
111.
Everybody who agrees say aye. They be like, aye. That's all ones. Galactical code system, man. Everything is being broke down for a reason in these day and times, to put everybody on their one path. Because if you're not on your one path, then nothing even matters, man. Yeah, cutting through the fruit, cutting through meat. That want to cut through fruit, cut through meat, cut through wood. Shit, someone's cut through metal. So this has already been put in place before this place was even formed and created. It's already been put here, and everything's being decoded through what? The power of uploading. Like in the Matrix, when it was like, yeah, and Neo would sit down in chairs, he was like, man, upload. Like, all this stuff is being broke down for a reason in these days and times, because everybody has to know. Just like in when you're dealing with, I always go back to the Bible, because the Bible is one of the most criticalest books right now in this day and time, is the Bible. and then you have the Quran. And it's so funny because the Quran and the Bible have similar traits, similar traits when you're dealing with the writings with the writings inside the books. So when you go back to the Bible, that's why I tell everybody the Bible is a code book. And when you're dealing with codes, the galactical code system, everything is supposed to be broke down and decoded. For what? For this to happen. The 1111s moving forward.
Yep. Also, I like to say, moving forward, when you said decode, brother AF, when I was thinking more so like uncoding, because we talked about, demented minds trying to slow down the speed of evolution, but anything with D in it means to like decline. So we're actually uncovering or uncoding the 3D algorithm by way of what you say formatting, or what you say.
Oh, just like pulling off the veil.
Yep, exactly. So we're pulling off the veil by uncovering or uncoding the 3D algorithm with the ones manipulating zeros, the ones 101010 being uncoded or uncovered by way of the ones walking with the ones, pretty much by way of the four format. That is only going to push us into the future, and that has been pushing us in it. It's been doing that, as we've been, would you say, collaborating and extending mind, body, and soul, as far as Futurtarians, U.N.O.N.C, and again by way of this broadcast that we're constantly doing Wednesdays and Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. CST. So we're bringing forth this next nuclear energy, and again, we're activating people far and near, as far as with our vibration, with our solar G. Check out that podcast. Our solar G is again shifting things forward and putting a pause on the past and present paradigms. The people of the past and people of the present who are claiming to be future don't quite omni-stand or mega-stand, but again, they're being looped by way of irrelevant, irrelevant facts or factoids that don't ultimately push you forward. All it's doing is forming your mind to basically, again, to keep looping and to keep only spitting out information, especially again when people are when their belief systems are what you say challenged or rival. Again, that's when again they begin to get put on pause, because again they can't venture outside of belief. It's like people who don't have an imagination. When they can't imagine the future, then they can talk about it.
Yeah, they can't venture out belief because that's their belief system. That's what they've been taught. That's what they believe in. That actually belief. You know what belief is? Belief is actually a mental stimulant. It's just like smoking a cigarette, smoking marijuana, drinking, whatever's your drug of choice, or whatever you do. That's what belief system is. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm gonna give you an example for belief system. If you smoke, right, but your friend drinks, right, that's what you both believe in. He believes in drinking, you believe in smoking. So that's a belief system. So what is the belief system? It comes down to your own mind processing stuff in your mind, dealing with your mind. Your mind is an organic computer. It's a processor. It can process certain stuff. Now, when you're dealing with chemical imbalance, because if I smoke and my body doesn't really agree to me smoking, then I might drink, or I might vape, I might do something like that. But the whole point I'm making is, like, even dealing with your chemical imbalance in your body, that plays a factor too. But then that's the same thing as believing, because believing, when you're dealing with doctrines, right, and you're dealing with these old people that allegedly lived, because when you're dealing with the Bible, it's like, where their tunes at? And now that's one thing about when they say Jesus rode on the third day. And when you're dealing with the summer solstice and all that, that's a whole nother video. But when they say Jesus rose in the third day, is because the reason why they rewrote that, dealing with the reason why, and going back to the Egyptians, what they were doing was they were trying to, when you're dealing with the Asians, the East Indians, the Caucasians and stuff, what they were doing, they were trying to give them a sense of hope, so that they broke everything down in astrology. That's why the Bible was done but an astrology book. It's a coded book. and it's an astrology book. So that's why they was trying to give it to them so they can give them an understanding of hope and belief system. And what did they do? They took it and they flipped it on who? The so-called African Americans that's on the planet right now. And now a majority of them embrace that book. Even if it's the book of Revelations, they still embrace it. That's a code book. When it says the elect, they wasn't talking about raising the elect. They wasn't talking about raising the elect physically. It said the elect will be raised, dealing with what? The electrodes and the electrons. Mind power. Moving stuff forward. Council seats. And breaking down the Bible and breaking down the Quran is a code system. So I always stress that because people think that this stuff is literal. It's not. When you're dealing with people that has no tombs, they have no burial sites. Where are they at? You know why? Because it was actually a coded book, but then it was a coded book. But you know what the Bible is? It's actually a Harry Potter book.
1 second. Facts. I mean, that is true in so many words, but
it's a damn Harry Potter book, man. People take that Harry Potter book. They take the Harry Potter book, man. That's just the same way if you read Harry Potter and then you start living that life going to I forgot what they call that little thing, that little gathering when they dress up.
Yeah.
You said what?
Yeah, when they gather in their little covens and whatnot and stuff. Yeah.
Well, no, they got it's called I forgot what it's called, but they deal with like comic books and superheroes and stuff, and they throw it like in different states each year.
Oh yeah. Comic-Con conventions, yeah.
Yeah, Comic-Con. Yeah. So it's just like Comic-Con. Y'all representing the Bible. I don't care if it's the Old Testament or New Testament or the Book of Revelations. You might as well dress up and go do Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's to you Hebrew Israelites. That's to anybody that's still dressing up trying to reenact dead people. Also, shout out to brother Cosmo Uni. Shout out Peace, Power, and Soul Activation, brother Cosmo. But again, ultimately, we're trying to reenact the past because again, people are still operating in the past and present because they're trying to again relive the lives of past people who aren't here no more. That's why when you said, brother AF1, belief is like a mental stimulant. It's like an addiction because again, that like it makes them feel good to a point where they are disillusioned on the reality that is basically, happening outside of them. Again, they want to, be nose blind to the reality by way of trying to reenact and relive in the past. That's why, again, they're going to always be looped and they're going to always come to that point of being stagnant, or being bored because again, they can't move forward. They're stuck. They're stuck in that loop process. They're stuck in the meta, they stuck basically, into their own ways, or with so many words, they're stubborn and they're stuck in their own ways, kind of like older people, even though they might be young, they're still so caught up in the, revolutionary thinking of the past and present that again, it's basically blocked them or capped them from being able to move into the future or ultimately be able to see into the future or basically their souls from the future being able to if they were in the future, being able to realign with them in the past. So that is non-existent because again, when your energy and when your vessel is closed to these activation energies, then again, you're only, blocking your evolution. As I said, but you're blocking your blessings because, the saying was for people who are subscribed into religion, you're blocking your blessings, you're blocking your future because again, you don't want to open up and just let go of shit. When you're constantly holding shit in your body or holding in, again, certain beliefs, again, it reeks. It makes you reek and it shows that you can't move forward because again, you're still caught up in bullshit. That's why, and it's so funny because me and Cosmo was talking about how BS, aka, talking about last topic, how belief systems versus but belief systems are BS. The word is BS. It's bullshit. it really is bullshit. So moving forward, we just have to.
Yeah, right. The BS of the belief system, the bullshit system, man. That it is, man, because you can believe anything. You can believe. I'm gonna give y'all an example. You could believe 200 million. You could believe 200 million UFOs is gonna come out the sky and put the white man in slavery, and some guy that's gonna walk out of there looking like Gohan from Dragon Ball Z with with golden skin and a white and gray beard is gonna come save everybody. That's a Harry Potter book.
Real talk, it is because again, it's like people are still believing in like the what is it, the fairy tales and all of these fables that again were meant because again allegory in these fables because a lot of those fables were meant to basically again loop the minds of childish thinking people. Because if you're thinking on that same frequency again, then you're not going to see the bigger or the understanding or the mega standing premise of these so-called allegories or these so-called stories or whatnot. So go ahead, brother F1.
Right. What's so funny? Why is the word Bible not in the Bible? Where's that word at? The Bible ain't even in the Bible. By, what's by mean? Two. El, what's El? The Elohims. So I'm like, by Baal. It's like, man, it's so funny because we be over here laughing, man, because this stuff is funny. It's starting to be really just hilarious. This is like some of the stuff that people believe. It's like Dave Chappelle's stand-up comedy. Like, it's just like you just laugh at it when you get to that point. Once you get activated, you get to the point, you just laugh at it because people actually really believe this stuff. They actually really believe that the book of Revelations is a literal book. That's the funny stuff about it, man. This stuff is just funny, but go ahead, brother.
Yep. Furthermore, to push forward and keep moving through, we're coming to that point. But ultimately, we just say who we are again. We are Futurtarians. We are Futurtarians moving forward, future men and women, future beings, extending our mind, bodies, and souls into the future by way of the next nuclear ideas and conversations brought by our extended future selves, bringing forth the intelligence, the solar intel by way of the activation of sunlight and rays that are basically pushing this planet, pushing this galaxy into a whole different rift or into a whole different vibration, aka pushing us forward, extending us forward. So again, we're putting the past and present world on pause because again, we are moving outside of the past and present. So again, if there aren't any activated ones caught in the past and present is obsolete. And that means it's going to basically, crumble because there is no support. And the support that support at one time happened to be us ones, those pillars of light, the pillar of activation or extension, by way of the sun, by way of other gateways and portals that we came through. But ultimately we act as those pillars that hold this very dimension together right now. So we move past that. So again, it's falling. Don't y'all see it's falling? It's falling. It's only going to fall more and more and become more and more prevalent to the right ones who are supposed to be over here. So again, if you're hearing this right now, then again, you're either supposed to be over here or trying to tap into this frequency again to help you evolve, to help you stand for. So again, Brother F, if you'd like to add anything else before we head out, I will say this, check out Brother F on his channel, Futurtarians Activation Channel again, Futurtarians Activation Channel. So again, we are U.N.O.N.C. Futurtarians. So go ahead, Brother F1.
I'm going to close out with this. When you're dealing with the moon, because a lot of teachers who's on the internet using 1111 as moon frequency, and they were trying to tap into the lunar frequency when the moon deals with Akashic records. I'm not even talking. The moon deals with a lot of energies, but when you're dealing with activated souls, we tap into the moon to tap into our past lives so we can move stuff forward. Because if you go into the past and you're not trying to search for intel, it doesn't matter. Now, you notice that the moon, all right, there's that one sport, I don't even know what it's called. I don't even like Googling stuff, but it's that one sport in the Olympics where they got that ball. It's a real heavy metal ball and they spin around and try to throw it as far as they can, right? So when they spin around, they have to have that ball at a certain, every time that ball spins around, if they had it close to their chest, they couldn't spin around fast. So that ball has to be a certain length away from them. It's a metal ball and they spin it. And it's usually a whole bunch of big dudes that's throwing it, or women too. So the whole point I'm making is, like, as the moon gets further and further away from the earth, it's making the earth spin faster. Everything is speeding up. That's why I said, man, when you're dealing with these towers out here, these phone towers, shot puts.
Shot putters.
Yeah, shot putters. So as they spin around, you notice that if they had that metal ball close to them, they couldn't spin that fast. So as it gets farther and farther away from them, they spin faster and faster, dealing on the weight of the ball and dealing on the length of the string that it's attached to. So the planet's moving faster and faster every day. The moon is making the planet move faster. So when people tap into that frequency, they're tapping into the other frequency dealing with lunar energy. But you have to tap into the speed up frequency. Everything is speeding up because everything was been placed in the solar system for a reason, to have this day and time, right? So I just wanted to leave off with that, make y'all think, make y'all go do some research, go on Google, Siri, and Alexa, and hopefully you tap into the intel. Peace, power, and soul. Shout out to the brother Cosmos. We out.
Yep. Again, that was brother AF1. Check him out on his YouTube channel, Futurtarians Activation Channel. Again, Futurtarians Activation Channel, and we are together, U.N.O.N.C Futurtarians, moving forward. Again, this is the next nuclear radio show. Again, we are acting as Futurtarians, activated men and women, ones walking for ones, walking for ones. Together, we are extending the activational frequencies from the upper and outer dimensions, and again, bringing forth a shift on this planet, a necessary shift to basically, again, awaken the right ones that are supposed to be of 200 rising and not of 200 falling. So again, we are 200 rising, hashtag vegetarians, hashtag U.N.O.N.C. If you see that, those hashtags everywhere, that'll be us, because again, we're everywhere. We are the omniversal council, or again, because we all are standing as ones. Because guess what? Ones stand up. Ones point to the upper and outer dimensions as light rays moving forward next now. So with that being said, I am your host, Zirayas Razus Clear, amongst other leaders and hosts such as Brother AF1 and Brother Cosmos. So together, we are all ones walking with ones moving forward. So with that being said, peace, power, soul, activation, one love. Until next time.